Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok 2, or Thor 4, more accurately, by my boy, my man, Taika Waititi. Now, let me just put off for the record that I am still very much against Marvel, against Disney, mostly more than so anything else, but I'm also someone that can admit that I personally thought Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok, was my favorite of the Thor franchise films, and also, honestly, one of my favorite of the Marvel franchise films. I thought that Taika Waititi's humor was very, very smart for this character. I can understand and respect why anyone would say I was thrown off by that humor, because it was definitely different. It was not consistent with the tone of the movies that have been existing since the first Thor film and, of course, Thor the Dark World. But if you remember, after Thor the Dark World, the character had gone through such a negative time. Like as far as the movie was concerned, it's oftentimes considered one of the worst of all the movies, even though I personally like it. I like all the Thor films because, obviously, as being the king of Asgard myself, I personally love my son Thor, and so I'm going to go support him no matter what. But when it comes to this, obviously, it makes sense that this would be a film that would be very divisive if you're going to change the character that much. Thor 4, on the other hand, I think could be a really great opportunity for Taika Waititi to maybe get some of those people back if, of course, Disney decides to get its head out of its ass, and also if Taika Waititi is allowed to have full reign of the project, much like he was with Thor Ragnarok. You can pretty much tell that he was the main person behind that project and that no one was really pulling his strings, because it still had his very clear sense of humor. If you've never seen this movie called What We Do in the Shadows, it is freaking brilliant, and I highly recommend it. It's a mockumentary about vampires living. That's where he got his start. That's what he got his big splash in, was that movie, because it was so freaking funny. So he's able to kind of transfer that humor over into Thor Ragnarok, and that's why it's a film that I've gone back to several times. It's one that both me and my wife love, and we love to watch again and again and again, because there's a lot of really cool things in it. Not to mention, it's got one of the most badass scenes in it when you have Thor coming out with lightning bolts and everything, with rock music playing behind him. And also, and I'm just going to be honest here, if you did not have Taika Waititi, you would not have had the badass scene in Avengers Infinity War, the last of the Marvel films, in my own personal opinion, because everything after that really wasn't all that great. Even Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though I obviously like Ant-Man, the villain in that film was very, very weak. With all that being said, though, it wasn't for Taika Waititi, if it was not for the direction he took this franchise with, Thor's franchise would be dead. The character would not be seen as that important and would not be seen as that popular. And I think that it was because of the revitalization that he gave to the character that they decided to give him a lot more to do in Infinity War. I don't know what the hell they decided to do when they made him Fat Thor in Endgame. To be honest, I think that's when you got studio involvement, was because they were like, we can't have toxic men being the strongest characters in the universe, and so what we want you to do, Russo brothers, is take him down a peg. And of course, they abided, and they made their first bad film. Again, that's a pretty good track record on their part, though, because they had every film that they had made beforehand was pretty damn good, including arguably one of the best Marvel films, Winter Soldier. To me, Winter Soldier and Thor are kind of up there. Thor Ragnarok, that is. But this, to me, has me excited. Again, Warner Brothers, however, is going to have to make him wait on directing a film that he's been wanting to do for a long time, and also has been in production hell for a long time. That's the live-action Akira film. Now, there's a lot of thoughts out there about whether or not Akira should be made into a live-action film or not. I think it's going to be very hard to make it, for having just seen that movie for the first time this year and having very mixed emotions about it, because obviously I recognize the beauty of the animation, I recognize the beauty of the story and how impactful that story was, and inspiring many other stories to come from it. But the ending especially is just so bizarre and out there that you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I'm kind of in that hate category because it was just too bizarre and too weird for me, though of course I respect anyone that overall likes it. So I think it might be a good thing that they're going to put that on hold for now, because I think that at the end of the day, they might want to make sure that they have just the right amount of technology to be able to bring that to the big screen. And hopefully they'll be able to realize that they can do most of the things in that movie using mostly practical effects and not having to overly rely on CGI, though I will say that Taika Waititi is pretty good when it comes to using that. However, with that being said, the one critique that I can have of Thor Ragnarok is that the CGI is not the strongest that it could be. Now, it does also give me one of my favorite new characters, which is Korg, voiced by Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi, so sorry, I keep on mispronouncing his name, but it is Taika Waititi. Yes, Steph, that's how you pronounce the name, and that's how you spell it. So you'll know for the next live stream. But with all that being said, I think that in the end of the day, it could be a very good film. However, until Disney gets its head out of its ass, I know I personally won't be supporting. But anyway, guys, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Are you excited for this film? For anyone that is still going to support these movies? Honestly, I think there's different ways that one could boycott any type of franchise or any type of studio. One could say, I'm going to do a selective boycott where I'm only going to support the films that are good, only going to support the films that are going to try and, be good and not just rely on identity politics, while shunning the films that aren't. Or people like me, where I'm kind of in that position where I just want to boycott everything that is Disney. And of course, some people say, oh, well, didn't you buy Alita Battle Angel? Well, yes, I did, because I bought that long beforehand, and also because I'm also kind of in that in-between. Even though I'm more so now out of the boycott because of all just the nonsense they've been doing lately I will say that I can at least understand and respect, especially since I myself kind of did that with Alita, even though it was, of course, before I decided to do this, that there are certain properties that some people do want to support and do want to see continued on. However, until Disney is able to finally figure these things out, I'm kind of stuck over here. But anyway, I'd love to hear all your thoughts about Thor Ragnarok 2, or Thor 4, some might say. Are you excited about it? Are you excited that Chris Hemsworth is indeed reprising the role? Do you think that they're going to actually focus on Thor, or do you think they're going to try and do this, oh, we want you to focus on Valkyrie nonsense? Because honestly, even though I like Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, which is something very rare, I feel, in this community, because many people are going to say, I don't agree with you on that. I think I respect you for that, because I understand why anyone would say it's not consistent with the comic character, and I think that's always a good, if it is indeed true, and I know because people like Gary over Nerdrotic has said it as much, and I'll take a guy that worked in a comic store's opinion on whether something is, respectful and listening to the comic source material than rather not. And I will, of course, respect anyone that has that opinion. So love to hear your thoughts. Have a wonderful day, guys. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you possibly can. It helps me out a lot. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.